Hey everybody, I'm Benjamin, aka the Terrible Australian at supermarcy.com, and this is my video review of Insurgent, the second film in the Divergent series. So let's get right into it. I should start off by saying first that I actually didn't mind the first Divergent film. Like, yeah, it wasn't particularly original or even particularly memorable in any way, but I thought it was an okay film. Like, it was decently made, reasonably entertaining, and it did have some pretty solid performances from its cast. So, like I said, it wasn't, but at the same time, even though I enjoyed watching it, it just wasn't particularly, it was a bit forgettable as well. So overall, that one was an okay film. So I was kind of like, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing where the story was going to go at the end of it. So hence why I've seen Insurgent. And so, what did I overall think of this follow-up film? I have to say, I know there are a lot of people who actually did prefer this one over the first film, but I have to say, I honestly thought it was not as... I have to say that I thought the first one was a little bit better. I thought Insurgent was a bit of an average film, and I'll explain why. One of the main reasons is, since, like I said before, Divergent was a watchable, if rather forgettable film. The thing is, though, when I was watching this film, there were certain points during the course of the film where I was actually a bit confused about, about certain characters, minor characters, and events that happened in the first film that are brought up again in this sequel, that I completely forgot about. I honestly forgot Ray Stevenson, who has a small role in this film. I remember he had a much larger role in the first film, but I completely forgot what the purpose of his character was. And also there was just aspects of how the world of which this film was set in, and the fractions, how they work, and there were some I did remember, and others that I completely forgot about. So I must admit I was a bit confused at certain points during the course of this film when it came to those certain plot elements and characters. But there were other aspects that I did quite remember, so some elements weren't too hard to follow. And also, I kind of feel with the first film, I felt like the first film at least was a much more focused of the two films, and I felt Insurgent was a bit unfocused and a bit messy when it came to its plot. And there were just the couple scenes, these really big scenes that involve Shailene Woodley being strapped to this device, which I can't say which I can't recall what it was called off the top of my head, which I found interesting, and I thought that part was interesting. But that being said, though, just certain how that machine worked, and also just how it plays in the movie, I did, and at least how it's presented in the film, I just found a bit, kind of really convoluted and just a mess, and kind of sloppy in how it was executed. And I did feel also that the film was too long. It could have easily been shorter by a couple of minutes. I think that one of the reasons for that is because with the first film, I think because you had credited screenwriters on this film. You had Brian Duffield, Akiva Goldsman, and also Mark Bomback, the credited screenwriters of this film. So I did feel that's probably why I felt the film was unfocused, because you had these three different writers having a go at the story, and it just didn't feel coherent as a whole. And so I think that's one of the reasons why the film didn't work for me overall, because of that. Because the script was just kind of all over the place, and there are things that just happened but are not quite explained, and I was sort of found some things that, again, that were brought up in the first film that since I completely forgot about them, I was just felt rather confused as well. But yeah, so overall, I think it's just while it has some strong elements to it, like there are some positives about the film. Like the cast are pretty solid. Like Shailene Woodley once again does a really good job in the lead role, and also I did enjoy Kate Winslet as the film's villain. I thought she sort of gave a really nice sort of icy, steel cold performance. Like she didn't overplay it, she didn't underplay it, but she just found the right sort of tone level for her performance as this character. And of course, Miles Teller actually is given a lot more to do in this film, because he's had a bit of a small role in the first film, but he is given a lot more to do, and there's some really interesting sort of elements that I found with his character that I found really interesting. And also, but at the same time, even though the cast were all solid, I did feel like a lot of them were underused. Like Ray Stevenson, like even though he had a major part in the first film, he's basically only in this film for 5 minutes. And also Octavia Spencer, who I think is who I'm a fan of. I really enjoyed her scenes in the film, but again, she's not in the movie much. I hope she's in the sequel, because if she's not, I just would feel like she's just wasted in this film. And also one of the newest additions to the film was Naomi Watts. And I'm not going to say like what her character's point is in the film, or why she, like what her what's her character's purpose in this story. So I won't spoil that. But I thought Naomi did the best with what she was given. But but again, I would have liked to have seen her a bit more utilized. But for the most part, she's fine. Like it's a solid performance from her. But clearly, at the same time, you can tell that this is definitely a paycheck kind of gig for her. So, but at the same time, there were some interesting elements about her character that I did like, and I hope that she's given a bit more screen time, and that her character is given a lot more in the next 2 films. Because the film does set her up quite well, so I'd be interested to see where the character goes. But at the same time, but overall, like Naomi does give a solid performance, and even though it's not particularly anything memorable from her. So, and also Robert Schwentkle, who sort of took over for the first film's director, Neil Berger, he does a pretty solid job with his direction. Like there are it looks great. And also there are some pretty solid action set pieces, and he does know how to sort of build a bit of dramatic tension as well in certain moments, and also the score is really good, and also the production design is just great. Like it's an interesting sort of world that the filmmakers have created in the realm of this story, and so yeah, so overall, like with Insurgent, there are a lot of positive aspects I did like about it, mostly sort of on a sort of technical level. But that being said, it's still kind of an average film where I feel like the script was too messy and unfocused to work, at least compared to the first film. So. But at the same time, like I'm still the way the film ends on an interesting note where I'm actually, even though I didn't care much for this film, I am interested to see where the story goes in the third film, which is again like all sort of young adult novels, made film adaptations of young adult novels. It's been split into 2 films, which I think is pointless, but at the same, I'm interested to see where it goes. So, overall, Insurgent, it's watchable, but it's a kind of a messy, average film that lacks focused. So, but if you enjoyed Divergent, you might enjoy this film. But I think but for everyone else, I'd say wait for it to come out on DVD or Blu-ray, or just stream it online at Netflix or something. So, so overall, if I had to give Insurgent a rating, it would be 2.5. So, yep, that's the end of my video review of the Divergent series, Insurgent. I hope you all enjoy it, and I hope my review made sense. It's probably just as unfocused and messy as the film itself that I was talking about. But like I said, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you, everyone. Bye.